Today is Wednesday, January 20th, and we're going to continue with the story that was shared yesterday about the three Hebrew men who were being tested in their faith to continue to worship God, even though it was appearing to be costing them their lives. The question we ask ourselves in this moment is, how do I exhibit that kind of faith? Well, today we're going to talk about these men and their crazy faith. But before we do that, we need to just pause and clarify the faith we're talking about. You see, because faith can be viewed in so many different ways. And it's important that we know what we're saying. So faith is a word with many meanings. It can mean faithfulness. I'm sure you've heard it said like that. In Matthew 24:45, who then is the faithful and wise servant whom his master has put in charge of his household to give the others in the house their food and supplies at the proper time? And this was an example Jesus used about a servant being faithful and exhibiting faith. It can also mean absolute trust. We see in Luke 7, verses 2 through 10, the Roman centurion who had faith Jesus could heal his servant who was miles away. And he said, if you'll just say the word, I'm a man under authority and I understand that and it'll happen. And it did. Absolute trust. And it can mean confident hope. Hebrews 11:1. Now faith is the assurance of the things hoped for and the evidence of the things not seen. So something we cannot even see, that's what we're having faith in. That's what it looks like. So faith comprehends as fact and cannot be experienced by the physical senses. It just becomes a fact in our life. Now, when we look at faith, we must be clear what we're talking about. Faith is usually tied closely with salvation, especially when we look at Paul addressing the churches in the New Testament. Over and over again, we see faith and salvation, especially in Romans where he's talking about gaining salvation and what that looks like. Now, it's not something we must do in order to earn salvation. That's not why we have faith. If that were true, then faith would be just one more thing, one more deed that we are to do. Paul clearly states in Galatians 2:16 that human deeds can never save us. Now, instead, faith is a gift God gives us because he is saving us. Ephesians 2:8, right? So it is God's grace, not our faith, that saves us. Now, in his mercy, when he saves us, he gives us faith, which is a relationship with his son that helps us to become more like his son. And that's what Jesus did. He came, he lived, and he exhibited what we're supposed to do and how we're supposed to live. Now, from the faith he gives us, he carries us from death into life, as we see in John 5:24. Now, here's where we pick up in Daniel 3, talking about how the faith to worship God in the midst of pressure, instead of worshiping idols, causes action to win the day. Now, that's what we're talking about. Faith moving into action, followed up by what we're doing. In Daniel chapter 3, verse 17, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they make this statement. The God we serve is able to deliver us from it, the fire, and he will deliver us from your majesty's hand. Now, you're like, man, that's exactly what I would have said to that king. Now, they said this to the king that could kill him, destroy him, eliminate them. Now, not only did they have the boldness and confidence in God, they had the crazy faith to believe God would save them from a furnace that was promised over and over and over if they didn't bow down. They had many, many opportunities to bow. Now, something to take note of is they were given these multiple chances. They did not make up their mind in that moment that they were not going to bow. You see, that happened in their daily prayer time as they were connecting with what they knew as the living God. Over and over, God spoke to them and they spoke back to God. And in those moments, they made up their mind. If something goes down, we're not going to bow. Make up your mind now that you're not going to bow. And when the time comes, just follow through on that decision. Sounds simple, right? Well, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego did exactly that. And they showed us how we're supposed to do that. Now, here's a question I want you guys to comment below. What crazy faith is God calling you into for this year? Right here, share and comment and look at what other people are sharing and commenting. And let's have a dialogue about the crazy faith God is asking us to step into this year. Well, the story continues. They were thrown into the furnace that was heated 7 times hotter than usual. God delivered them, and not one part of them was harmed from the fire. Now, we know the story, and it's a lot easier hindsight to be like, that's exactly what I had done. Well, the king was so amazed and decreed that their God would be respected throughout the entire kingdom. You see, God is pleased with faith. Let's pray that He'll give us crazy faith to believe in Him for the impossible. He will come through. Now, today is a historic day in our nation. It's January 20th. What decisions have you made in your personal time with God that you are ready to follow through on today if a crazy situation arises? Well, let's pray together. Father, help us to strengthen our faith, to trust and believe in you regardless of what we see with our eyes. We know you fight on our behalf and you're already victorious, which makes us victorious as well. Thank you for allowing us to be a part of this victorious family. We love you and we're excited to do this together. Let's go do all the things that we've already decided to do in our personal time with God now as situations arise today. Love you guys, and I'm excited to be on this journey with you.